Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our entitled people. In today's episode, entitled Dad on a Flight. Let me interrupt you to tell you about my favorite koi. I'm a huge Karen and I've tried to change. Nothing works. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Entitled Dad on a Flight. I know what you're thinking, but this does not involve anybody asking or demanding to swap seats. A couple of days ago, I was flying from the UK to Central Europe. There was a dad, ED, a few rows ahead of me, sat in the aisle seat with his two toddler-aged kids, I'd guess between 18 months, 2 years old, taking the middle and window seats. The kids were a little boisterous, standing on seats and generally being a bit loud, but it was a relatively short flight and I had headphones, so whatever. As we're preparing to land, as in, we'll be on the ground within 5 to 10 minutes, the flight attendant notices that one of the toddlers is still stood on the chair. She approached ED and asked him to sit the child down and fasten his seatbelt. ED refuses and says he's tried but his son doesn't want to. The flight assistant spends the next few minutes explaining exactly why his child needs to be sat down, with ED refusing. The attendant was clearly getting more and more frustrated when the ED asked if we can just fly around for a bit longer so he can settle his son. QWTF looks from everyone listening to what was going on. Clearly the attendant refused and said we were landing now. ED tried a few more times to convince the attendant to just give him another half an hour before realizing that wasn't going to happen and finally getting his now screaming son fastened in his seat. We landed less than 2 minutes later. TDLR, entitled Dad wants a flight to delay landing so he can avoid doing some actual parenting. I was on a flight once from Australia to New Zealand and some entitled gave the attendant crap about the tray and putting his computer away while landing. She was new and came up front to complain, and the older one said, "Don't worry, just watch." She went and shut him down, then on landing told police at the gate who he was. He got pulled off and grilled, and then at border control I swear they were going to go cavity search on him. They let him in but made it clear, don't mess around. This is what needed to happen to the ED. He was bordering close to child endangerment. I was on a flight from New York to Dallas and there was a family of 3 a row up on the other side of the aisle. The kid, about 4, didn't want to sit for takeoff. The father said, "There's nothing I can do. I'll just hold him." Nope. He got rules and regulations recited to him. He sat the screaming kid down, buckled him in, and immediately unbuckled him when the flight attendant moved away. A minute later, we heard, "This is your captain speaking. We can leave the gate as soon as Dad's first name, in, seat number, gets his child ready for takeoff. If it takes more than a minute or two, they will be asked to deplane." Well, what do you know, there was suddenly something the dad could do. I don't know what he whispered into his kid's ear, but that boy was an angel for the entire flight. Mom never said a word. I have zero control over this child I'm raising to be an irresponsible member of society, so can we just fly around in circles for a while, potentially screwing up the airport's entire schedule of connecting flights in hopes that he decides to cooperate in the next hour or so? Also, I'm going to blame the schools for this in a few years. I was flying home to Australia once from overseas, on the third leg with my then 3 years old, now nearly 18 years old. He behaved like an angel until the third flight when he decided he was over it. Don't blame him, it was a 2-day travel home including an overnight stay in an airport. Upon descent, I had to physically restrain him in his seat, clutching the belt buckle, whilst he screamed the plane down. I was mortified and on the brink of tears just from the overall stress and exhaustion. I let everyone else off the plane first and a lovely passenger asked on her way past our seats if he was okay. I replied, "Yes, he's just overtired." Then she said, "No honey, I meant are you okay?" And I burst into tears. It just meant so much to me that someone took the time to check in on this young, stressed mom who was just trying to get home with her child. Thank you, random woman, whoever you are. That's next level entitlement, alright. My sweet baby would like to see the Eiffel Tower, so can we just go ahead and take a quick detour real fast so he can see it? Let me interrupt you to tell you about my favorite koi. I was at the pet store, a place with a huge fish department. I was picking out fingerling koi for my new koi pond. The fish wrangler had just caught one koi and was trying to herd another into a corner. He was relying on me to point it out. And as we were working together, here came this old guy with a cane. He got right between us and pointed out another koi and started talking to me that he had a koi just like this one. I tried to interrupt him, but he wouldn't stop talking. So I touched his arm and said, "Excuse me, sir, you're in our way. But I just wanted to tell you about." "I know, but you're blocking this worker who is helping me. I just wanted to say I had a koi." "Sir, I don't care. Please move." He huffed and moved away. "You don't have to be a jackass about it." I couldn't help it. I just stared at him. And I replied, "You started this." He went away grumbling. No one paid attention. I got 6 new koi fingerlings. Once you politely asked him to get out of the way and he kept bloviating, he became TA. I just want to share my appreciation of your use of bloviating. It was lovely. I miss vintage words. I'm just wondering, how old was this guy? Is it possible he might have needed a little human interaction? I'm not condoning his behavior, but I'm thinking that maybe a little kindness could have gone a long way. Extra info. He was there with his son, who looked like he was in his mid-20s. The dad? Looked like he was 70. Or a hard 65. His son was talking to a different associate about wanting to buy a fish for his pet turtle. From what I overheard, the turtle's shell was about as big as a dinner plate. The associate thought he wanted feeder fish. The son wanted a fish friend for the turtle. The associate was trying to explain that any fish would become turtle food, especially in a 50-gallon tank. I don't get these people on here who insist that OP should have been nice to the old man and blaming OP for being entitled themselves. Sure, maybe the old man was lonely, but trying to force a conversation on someone who was clearly not in the mood is not okay. OP was not rude. He asked the man to move. Old man did not have the social grace or awareness to do so. OP was not interested in the conversation, probably irate at the old man, and quite rightly told the man they didn't care about the conversation to get him to move. Not accepting a conversation you don't want or need to have is not entitlement. Forcing a conversation most certainly is. I'm a huge Karen and I've tried to change. Nothing works. I'm so tired of my behavior. It's embarrassing. I've been a spoiled, jealous, mean person my whole life. Growing up, I was the only child and I would get everything I wanted. If I threw a big enough fit, I would get my way. I've cheated my way through high school and couldn't finish college. I've never been able to have close friends because I get jealous and say mean, ugly things to them. If I'm inconvenienced at a restaurant and they don't have my fave food in stock, I take it out on the waitress tip. I want to be a better person, but my emotions sometimes won't let me. I get mad or jealous and lash out. I self-sabotage because I'm scared of rejection. I've done some work over the last few years, but I still can't seem to get over my emotions. I'm a bully, a hater, a mean person. I'm trying my hardest to stop being rude, but it isn't working. Go to therapy. As soon as I have the extra income, I'll definitely be seeing my therapist again. I finally found a counselor who I can connect with. Thank you. Check out cognitive behavior therapy. It is specifically structured to help you recognize and short-circuit the emotions and behaviors you want to modify. There are a number of apps that can also help. But working with a therapist who does this will be a big help. I am a therapist. I really recommend seeing someone who specializes in EFT, emotion-focused therapy. You have great insight and courage to realize this, and you deserve support on your journey. I imagine you weren't born this way, you learned it from the people you grew up with. Well, points for self-awareness. I'd say therapy, but unless you can overcome some of the my way mentality to process with a professional, I don't see that going far either. Good luck! If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.